I'm Joshua Hanlon here at Brick Fair, Alabama, and next to me is this incredible Cyberpunk layout. You might recognize a section of this from our coverage at Brick Fair at the beginning of 2020, the last time this show happened, but now we've got the builder back with us. He's made it much more impressive, much larger layout, lots more to look at here. So thank you so much for chatting with me again.
Yeah, for sure. It's my pleasure. I'm glad y'all are back, and I'm glad the city is back for another show.
So if you want to start real quick with just introducing yourself, and then we'll start taking a look.
Yeah, Stefan Formentano. I'm a member of Magic City LEGO Users Group, which is the local Alabama Birmingham lug. So yeah, it's an expanded version of the 2020 mock that you all featured on the channel, right? So we've quadrupled the size of the base. It was a 4x4, 32 by 32 base plate layout last time, and it's now 8x8. So it's definitely expanded. We've had a little bit of a time, 2 more years, right, to add to it, and we didn't waste any of it, not a second.
So what are the dimensions in feet? Do you know, like height and then square footage?
It's 80 inches by 80 inches, right? Because the 32 by 32 is 10 inches. And then the height, I don't know. I should have measured. But I think we had a competition who had the tallest. I think I got maybe beat. So I didn't measure on purpose, so nobody could brag about it. I'm going to claim forever the tallest at Brick Fair 2022, right?
There you go. No, it's an incredible layout. So we'll start with just kind of this section right in front of us.
Sure.
There's so much to look at here. So let's start with this tower. You've got like the screens there. Take us through it.
Yeah, for sure. So this is actually the section from 2020.
Okay.
The buildings have changed, or we've updated some of the buildings and made it taller in this section, right? And we also incorporated a lot more lighting at the time. Like I said, you might recognize the layout, but the buildings have certainly changed. Something, and I'm going to mention it again, and I mention it to everybody, that it was heavily inspired by the BroLug collaborative, which a lot of the AFOLs, especially a bunch of people I've talked to today, know as like a really iconic collaborative. And something they did really well was incorporate lighting into it to capture that like cyberpunk theme. And so we did a okay job in 2020, I think, but we really amped it up over the last 2 years, building like custom LED screens, and there's a lot of Arduinos, like microcontrollers in there that are controlling these. It was kind of important, like I think a question we get, and I don't get offended by this question, but a lot of AFOs get it, is like whether it was a kit. And the LEDs are something that we get asked a lot about, like whether they're kits, and they are not kits. They are individual pieces that we built custom for the layout. So with the exception of the little EL wires, which I think I mentioned last time are little kits, and we just like clip them to the lengths that we want. So it's not a full-fledged like this is what we're going to do with it, but we incorporate those little kits in there. But we're pretty proud of the like soldering job we've done to get all the LEDs right. And we were just so excited about it for World of Lights to see it all lit up for the first time last night, because it took the last 2 days, like basically every hour of all the setup days to get it all set up. So super excited about how it came together.
Yeah, so they do a whole World of Lights here at Brick Fair where they shuttle the lights off in the convention hall, and then that really lets this build shine.
Yeah, it was just great. We had a whole crowd running. We had the Blade Runner soundtrack blaring. It was a really good time. I was just staring at it for hours. I think maybe I was exhausted a bit after the effort of assembling it here on site, but it was really great. It got a great response from the crowd during the World of Lights feature. So
let's take a deeper dive into this top section here. I love how the light shines through kind of the cracks in the yellow building there.
Yeah, of course. So that's, again, like I said, we've gotten a little bit better over the last couple of years with the like LED custom elements, and there's like a Arduino microcontroller in here that's like phasing these RGB LEDs that you can just find fairly inexpensive online. You just got to be willing to learn it and build them, just like you build Lego, right? It's really cool. Just a couple lines of code, and you get this cool effect of it peeping through. And it was like, you do some research online and see neat things, take some inspiration from various places online, concept artists and stuff like that. So, a lot of this is built on the feet of like some really great designers, whether they be Lego or concept artists, books, the cyberpunk genre in general, film. So you just look at those things and you take pieces. It's really embedded a lot into the AFOL community. I'm sure you recognize people borrowing from each other, and just, we're all rooting for each other. So it's really been great. And I'll actually, this yellow building, you can notice, and I always mention it to everybody, but it's certainly in the last video, you can come up with really cool, clever uses of like old pieces you wouldn't see. Again, something the Brolug group did really well was incorporating rarely seen pieces into their mocks. So I can't remember the theme exactly. Aqua Zone, maybe?
I think so. One of those underwater themes.
One of the underwater themes. There's actually, speaking of collaborating, a gentleman from Japan, I can't recall his name, it built a facade very similar to this, and I reached out to him. I was able to hunt him down on Instagram, and I asked his permission to rework his facade into the Cyberpunk city because I thought it was great. And I think I can't remember his name on Flickr, but there's some numbers on there that are the last part of his handle, and I added it to the building as sort of an ode to him and as thank you for giving me that permission. But yeah, and the lighted effect I just think turned out great. I'm pretty proud of all the little unique lighted elements that came together super well.
Yeah, and there's so much to take in here, so we can move down to kind of this arch section here. What do we have going on there?
Yeah, so like I said, we expanded the build by 4 times, right? It got 4 times bigger, the footprint of it. And we were building these tall buildings, and I think we actually displayed it at the local science center this summer, so this is the 3rd time it's been displayed. We were getting kind of down to the wire, and we had to quickly build some sections so that we could fill the city out. And it's a lot easier to build these sort of blank gate sort of things that don't have a huge building in them. And it actually, though, it's turned out really nice because it gives you these nice viewing angles through the city. It gets kind of dense and you can't see all the details, but the gate has become one of my favorite details, to be honest, in the city. You just get this nice angle, and it has that like Japanese aesthetic, which is what we were going for.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. There have definitely been times we've been covering builds like this where it's almost impossible for John to actually show a lot of the amazing details in there because everything is so packed together. But when you leave some of those sections open, you can appreciate the greater build.
Mm-hmm. That's something that's come up with a bunch of people, and I don't know. We've talked to a few people, and they've shared this. Like, when I build something, I really want to, almost like a kid when I was building, like I want to imagine walking around in it, right? Like, if I can't get done with it and then sit and look at it and be like, man, I could walk around and like actually explore this, like if I was the scale of a minifig, which I know that's kind of nerdy, but
it's almost like a video game type of idea.
Exactly. Like I love that kind of style of you could actually imagine being here and it being like a real thing, a real place that you could explore. So yeah, and like I said, like having some of the open road cubes and stuff is really nice, so you can kind of bend down and get into those details. But I know we've had people coming back all day catching more details and stuff, and we live for that. Myself and Peter, who I think I failed to mention so far, this is a collaborative effort between myself and Peter, who's also in Magic City Lug. We've really enjoyed that from the public and from the other AFOLs who've been here this weekend.
You mentioned the road sections there. That kind of ties a lot of the build together here, and it's raised up off the water sections, and you use those great kind of snot technique building to give that nice smooth look. Yeah,
so the snot road technique is something that's pretty well established in the Lego community, and this theme, right, is Cyberpunk, which is high tech, low life. So we went with the snot road technique so that we could add that sort of like potholes and like kind of run down grungy sort of feel to the city, and it's easily captured when you use a technique like that. And we really it's really important to me for my like castle days. I really like getting like organic shapes, so I don't like the like grid style cities. It's not so like it doesn't really like capture my imagination, right? So it was important to me to achieve these sort of angles. It's also something that you see in Asian cities a lot of times. The cities grew like from where an ancient city was, like a really old city, and so the roads are very organic. It just expanded organically, and I was really happy with how we were able to capture that with how the roads are lined up and with the angles how they meet up. So
not a lot of urban planning going on necessarily.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of urban planning so that we could achieve the effect of little urban planning, right?
I like that. But we'll keep making our way around here. So let's go to this section now. What is this building?
This is one that Peter built. I honestly, I don't know the story behind this building. The story is that it's a cyberpunk Japanese style building, right? Again, there's like really interesting parts usage. Like you can really dig into your buckets and find something that you just might catch. Like I really like the incorporation of the orange nets that he's done. We've got a lot of people complimenting the helicopter blades.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that's what that was.
I think you've got like a nice texture with the ball joints in there. So I don't know, some kind of cyberpunk office building, or maybe it's like I have no idea.
It's okay, you know.
It's up to your imagination, and that's what it's all about, right?
The viewer can decide. But I also want to point out the tree technique here, and you'll see it represented other places as well. I love this. It just uses like the single few flex tubes there, and then the purple, white, some unique tree colors.
I think the brown flex tube is like a highly sought after piece, right, in the LEGO community. I think we have got a lot. Maybe we're hoarding them a little too much. We need to share, but that's sort of like the trees that you pointed out. And like I mentioned, Cyberpunk, the easiest way to describe it is high-tech, low-life. And we sort of defaulted closer to the like high-tech. And we wanted to take a little bit heavier to the like lighter side of it, I guess, like not too grungy. So you can see we've incorporated a lot of like plant life into the build. It's also, like I mentioned, that I generally build castles, or at least when I started as an AFOL, castles was what I built, and I just collected a huge foliage plant parts collection, and I try to build. If I can find an excuse to put plants in a build, I'm gonna do it, just because I have the parts and I love doing it. So that's sort of what we went through, and I think we achieved that vibe a little bit more, a little less of the low life and a little more of the high tech.
No, and that's fantastic. And there's so many layers of this build. Even like underneath the main road, you've got this section down here that's kind of even more worn down than the main road section. So I mean, there's so much to look at.
Yeah, that's a sort of thing, like a layer, like the lowest class on the bottom, and then you go up sort of a social class in Cyberpunk as you go higher and higher in the city. So we're happy. I have to mention all day to people, hey, look under. There's more stuff under there, because you kind of, I guess the kids. It's kind of funny because the kids will be like, hey, there's this a shop under there, and the parents will be like, oh god, and like bend down and see it's pretty fun. It's about coming back and catching more details as you see them throughout the day. So
it's also worth mentioning before we move on to more buildings. This blue water tile. Yeah. You might think at first it's just blue tile. It's fairly basic, but it adds so much to the build because the way that it reflects the tall towers and the lights and the screens and everything, and it really helps complete the whole layout.
Yeah, we've had some comments like that because I actually was kind of worried that it's like a little monochromatic, right? Like you have a ton going on in the city that it's just like a jumble of stuff, and that it's just like a plain blue water. But yeah, we have never had it all lit up, and we got a bunch of comments like that. It reflects almost like actual water would, right? So it actually turned out great, sort of accidentally. So we're super happy with the effect that it's achieved.
Perfect. Well, we can move on to this other section of buildings. One thing that catches my eye right away is this sign right here.
Yeah, and so Google Translate has done it, but supposedly it says electric sheep, which is a reference to a Cyberpunk book, which I'm drawing a blank on the author. But a lot of the script and stuff that's spruced around the city is actual script that, I mean, obviously, like Google Translate did it, so hopefully it's correct. But
Google does its job right.
And it's just the EL wire kits like that I mentioned. Again, I think the BroLug group did really well was incorporating the EL wire as neon, which is super iconic for the genre, right? So it was important to us to sort of capture that neon feel and just sort of immerse you in that in the cyberpunk vibes.
And then up above that, some spectacular buildings here. So explain kind of what we have going on.
Sure. So again, it's important to sort of look deep into the like Lego parts library and find cool stuff. I built this chrome building with these like chrome 1x2 tiles. So they are official Lego chrome tiles.
Not something you see real often.
Yeah, it was Bricklink, luckily in this age you can basically get anything you want as long as there's a brick seller that's got it and you're willing to pay.
You've got the money. It's somebody out there.
And somebody's got it. So I think these came from a seller in Canada. is where I got them. So I wanted something chrome and gold. So that made it in. And I'm pretty happy with the curvature of the building, how it turned out. Again, sort of a huge inspiration is like Tokyo, Japan, and sort of the story behind it is that it is off the coast of Japan. So it's purposely built in a heavier Japanese style. In a lot of Japanese like office buildings, if you I would actually get on Google Maps Earth View and walk around the streets virtually and just like look up at buildings, and you'd find this like curvature in buildings a lot in downtown Tokyo and other Japanese buildings. So I'm really happy with how that came out. Maybe a detail, hopefully not lost on everybody, obsession I have, but there you go.
No, I think you captured it really nicely. John and I spent some time in Tokyo a few years ago when we were in Japan for a Lego convention, and a lot of this is very reminiscent of the city, so you've done a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, I've also been to Japan. It's just, the Bro Lug is like the main inspiration behind it, and it's been sitting like in my Flickr favorites for like forever, right? And I'm like, I gotta build it. And then my wife and I went to Japan, and I just like fell in love with the city, like Tokyo, and just the whole country. And it was like, it just all sort of lined up, and it was like, we're gonna build it. Like it's time to pull it back out and give it a try. So just like I said, I'm super happy with how it's turned out. Like.
I love the window technique in the building next door here, and the way that you kind of have the rounded corners on some of the sections works so well.
Yeah, this one's got a lot of compliments. So again, like the curved style of the building, I think we cheated a little bit. When you build these like tall skyscraper buildings, it's really hard because you have windows on both sides of the building, so you really need to build full interiors, but I'm not going to build a full interior. Some of the things have interiors that need them, but these skyscraper buildings, I'm pretty sure it's just paper, like chromey paper behind those windows, so that you get this like color vibe. So maybe it's a little cheating, it might be frowned upon, but it's my Legos, my rules. The comments can hash it out whether it's against the rules or not. I'll leave it up to them.
And then underneath those buildings, what can you point out some details? There's some kind of like art on the side of the walls there. Obviously, you've got lots of minifigs.
Yeah, so you've got tons of like advertisements and billboards. Another thing that comes up in the cyberpunk genre a lot. So just like ads have overrun the city. So we've got a lot of all custom vehicles under there. What else are we really proud of?
You got Woody here.
Yeah, Woody is running around the city. There was a bunch of guys who helped us set up do a lot of the minifig placement, because we have something like 500 minifigs that between Peter and I that we bring. And when you're at a convention like this, you get some downtime, people kind of hanging around bored, and they're like, can we help with something? And we were like, you can place 500 figs if you want. So
it's fun to create those scenes. They then get to populate the world.
Yeah, no, and it's awesome because I think we have like 8 or 9 guys, and they really have time to, when we've built for like 2 days, we're pretty tired. I think the last time we had it set up, we just put people walking around. They look so generic, but having some help, a helping hand at the conventions where they can really get them like they're really living in the city, and like the placement of the figs being a little bit better thought out with maybe some fresh eyes for somebody who hasn't built for like 30 hours straight. Like it's really nice. So thanks to everybody who helped.
Fantastic. We'll keep moving around the corner then. So we've got this tall building right here.
So what do we got? Oh, look, we got like a guy rappelling down this one. We got some, even surprises me on here. But it was important kind of to achieve like a lot of height was one of the goals for this. Since this is like sort of our second iteration at Brick Fair, at least, we wanted to really amplify the height. So we built a few buildings, maybe like just an excuse to go a little bit higher with these panels. And this is, again, another like cheating technique. There's some like just paper craft behind this building so that we could avoid building interiors. It just kind of irks me when you can like see through a building, but it's maybe
it works.
Obsessing over little details that I.
But it's the little details on a layout like this that I think really make the difference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right. Like I said, I guess it's worth a little obsessing when you get to see like the whole thing come together in such a such a cool way. And again, I don't mean to toot my own horn, too much, but
No, it's spectacular.
I'm so excited. Like I said, during World of Lights, I meant to take pictures. I brought my camera, charged up, and I didn't take a single picture or video because I just like stared at it and was like, man, I can't believe how well it's come together. So I couldn't be more excited.
The vending machine also is great as well.
Yeah, I think I took the time to light the vending machines, and I think this one maybe, I don't know if the lights went out or there's just not one in it, but we've got a guy, I think, whining because it's broken, right? And he can't get his favorite Cyberpunk energy drink out of the vending machine, which I thought was pretty hilarious.
I love the lantern type effect you got here with those like lava rock pieces.
Yeah. I don't know if I can claim absolute credit for that idea. I think I've seen somebody light the lava rocks before, but I was so happy with how that turned out. That part has gotten a lot of good compliments over the weekend. Just again, a silly part that you see in your dump bin that you don't think you're ever going to use, and it just turns out great when you're building in this style and genre of building. So.
And again, it reflects so nicely off the water too.
Yeah, there we go. Look at that water coming in handy. I was worried about the water, but it's turned out pretty great.
Now we have one of the most unique parts of one of the buildings here is whatever's happening on the side of this.
Peter built this building, and everybody recognizes the dragons. There's like a story behind it that it's like the 9 dragons are a security force, I think, that works in the city. So I guess it's like their logo or something. So this is their like building. I think you can see like little holding cells or something in there. So the 9 dragons, I guess it has a cool vibe. It's like a story he made up with. So there's a purpose definitely to the dragons.
Yeah, and they just look super cool as well.
Yeah, for sure. Just like explode. It's the cyberpunk near future, baby. You can do whatever you want. Dragons out of a building, yes. Guys rappelling down skyscrapers, yes. There's no in the cyberpunk future, man.
And you've got to have some like food and restaurants as well. So there you can see sort of like a cafe.
Oh yeah, you guys have been to Japan, right? So you know that like street food is a huge part of their culture. And I mean, there's street food vendors in Japan that you can just buy like the best meal you've ever eaten for like $5, right? And so incorporating little food stalls and stuff around was super important for us to catch because it just like further solidifies that like inspiration that this is an actual near future Japanese mega city.
Yeah, and then moving over here to this next section, so it's less a building, more just kind of open spaces almost here.
Yeah, again, like I said, I think we were kind of like strapped for time, and we wanted to get some stuff. Like we had a goal in mind, and but it turned out great. Like I said, because these ones that are sort of quick and less filled offer these like vantage points that you can see in and like check out those intricate details. Because there's a lot of detail that like otherwise you would never see it because it would be like kind of blocked into the middle of the city. So a happy accident. These more empty spaces. But I mean, it is a city. There would be empty park spaces and stuff in there too. So I think it totally makes sense. And when it comes together as a whole, you have those sort of cool accidents, and it just works out sometimes, I guess.
For sure, yeah, and you really see the minifigs shine. There's a guy with like a artificial robotic arm or something there.
Yeah, there's a lot of like cyberware throughout the city. It's like I was talking to a kid earlier, and he was walking around pointing out, hey, that's from that, and that's from that. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure we have something from almost every theme represented in the city, nearly every theme. So
you got this duel happening up here with these two guys.
Yeah, like I said, we were trying not to do too low life, but any cyberpunk city is going to have a little bit of low life.
It seeps in.
Yeah, maybe it's a friendly duel. Who knows?
They're training.
The swords are holograms or something. I don't know.
The pods are really neat there as well.
Yeah, again, I sound like a broken record, but it's an interesting. I can't even remember what those were called. X-pods.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, just a neat, transparent piece that just like fits the vibe that we were going for. Pretty happy how it came out. You can really get the depth. And again, a thing of the Brolug group like really did well. So a heavy inspiration to like really check the depths of brickling for that part that like just weirdly will work.
There you go. You got some nice numbers in the road here, so that really adds some color to all the black roading.
Yeah, so the like lettering, I think 08, it's new Hashima Sector 8, so this is some sector of the city that's the 8th one or something. So any way you can add like just like a touch more detail into something, you know, spend an extra hour of time wasted to put an O and an 8 in there. No, I'm kidding. It's super cool. It's all the fine details, right? It's like we've said over and over again. So if you can incorporate it, why not?
You got these. I love the trees around, sort of like an antenna tower.
Yeah. So again, with a Cyberpunk Medica City, there's going to be antennas and electrical wires everywhere. I was talking to somebody earlier who does like construction work, and they were like, "Well, this is definitely not up to code. There's no code in the Cyberpunk future.
Code went out a long time ago.
You better be watching yourself, because you might just get shocked or something. I don't know." But yeah, so we got antennas and basketball courts right next to each other. It's wild. It's wild. Watch out. Maybe I don't want to shrink down and walk around. Yeah, it'd be bad for my health.
I love it. And as we go to this next building, I love this clothesline technique here. So you got the shirts and the pants hanging out.
Yeah, I don't know who first came up with that. I think that's a thing that's happened, right? You pop the little hands out and it looks like a shirt is hanging there. Maybe they use it as like a pretty stiff shirt, I guess, if it's holding its shape like that. But, you know, Lego people have a different set of physics that's working with their clothing. But yeah, it's just like, it's meant to feel like a lived-in city, right? So you have to do things like that, like wires going places, clothes hanging from lines. The point is, you know, not to take it too seriously, but like you could imagine like people actually live here, right? And you could imagine living here. And we've had some people say that, and that's like one of the best compliments we can get, right?
For sure. Underneath there, I love that you've got these like road tunnel sections with lights in it as well.
So there's this like dam separating the two layers of the city, and there's this like road gently like nestled against that, and that came like directly from an image I found online of a Japanese neighborhood where it's like literally exactly like that. I think in this instance actually it was a subway track that ran along this like dammed section, but I saw it and I was like immediately, oh, the next iteration is going to have two raised sections and there's going to be a road or something running down the side of it. Again, sort of that like organic, the city just like sort of was built over centuries, and this is just how it became. And it's just it's so elegant and nice to be in a city like that and see it. And we took inspiration from that, and we're super happy with how it all came together. And it did take careful planning. We joked about it that it's it looks like it wasn't on purpose, but it was definitely on purpose.
No, and this is one of my favorite views right here. You can see like the screens you've got over there, the white pod building. You can just take in so much of the whole city.
So this is probably my favorite angle right here to see, because you can like see down the road. You can like really see into the center of the city. You get this like mix match of wires. You get the cool like graphic on the side of the wall. It's I always try to build something that like I want to like personally just like look at over and over again, and you just find new angles every time you look at it, right? Because and we had no idea like really how it's going. In our heads, we had like a vision, but it's just turned out, we are very happy with it. I think I keep saying it, but yeah.
No, as you should be. I mean, it's just so spectacular. And you've got more awesome details here as we kind of come around to where we started. So what's happening in this section?
Okay, so on the bottom we have its mod. It's like a body modification place. If you zoom in there, this guy is having a metal arm attached on the time. I think a lady earlier thought it was the dentist, and I thought that was pretty hilarious. I guess Cyberpunk people need a dentist, but he's getting a whole arm. Maybe they do teeth too, I don't know. What else do we got? We got like a bar for people to hang out. Lego has actually really recently, something I'll mention, with Ninjago, which I guess that's not recently, it's been building for like years, but Ninjago has just gotten huge. Monkey Kid. There's been a lot of expanding into areas that just like fit this aesthetic like so well. So we've got like the Monkey Kid script on there and some stickers from Ninjago. I bought like a ton of sticker packs off of Bricklink from Ninjago line and Monkey Kid just for the stickers so we could capture that feel. And some of the stuff is custom, but a lot of the scripting and printed tiles and stuff is all like official Lego. I would say like 99% of it is like sticker packs that we bought purposefully for the display, and from like the entire scope of the Lego run and library.
Yeah, it's all those little details and elements that add so much to it. And now you've got even like the Chinese New Year sets that have a lot of great stuff.
I bought tons of the printed tiles that come in that are just awesome. Like, so choice. And so I'm ecstatic whenever a new set comes out that sort of fits that vibe. I'm just looking at it, wait for it and get up on Bricklink or Bricks and Pieces or whatever, so I can get my hands on it, because that stuff, just like that little bit of fine detail, is just like super fun to put into it and really helps it come to life.
So as we've gotten our tour of the city here, you've talked about kind of the building process of the minifigs you had to put on. So how does this build then transport to a show? And as you put that together, what was that like getting all the buildings placed?
So this modular cube system was a brainchild of the Brola guys hanging out, a lot. I don't know what they were doing, probably partying pretty hard. But one of them, in the mix of their crazy parties, came up with this awesome cube stack design. And it's basically like a 32 by 32 by 32 cube, right? Like the Lego modular system. But it has this cool industrial feel with the Technic beams. And it comes apart in all these little sections. I mean, it took us 2 days to put it together, but the modular design of it is the only reason we can build it in 2 days. Because if it wasn't planned to split apart in sections, it would just be impossible to assemble it in the amount of time you need to have it set up for one of these shows. So it was really important to capture that, and thanks to those guys, for having the crazy idea and posting a lot of pictures online so that I could, obsess over each little detail and copy them shamelessly. Yeah.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you're carrying on such an incredible genre of building here.
Yeah, no, I think the cyberpunk genre has only gotten kind of more relevant. So it's a lot of pop culture and stuff coming out around it. I'm happy that it can be represented in Lego, and Lego is like a perfect medium for it, because Lego has like such depth in their like product offering from all of the years, and the genre just is sort of a mix of things, like a wild, unhinged mix of stuff. So it just works perfectly, and I hope we've inspired more people. You can reach out to me. It's Stefan Builds Lego on Flickr and on Instagram. It's a modular system, a collaborative effort. Peter and I are the only two who have built so far, but we would love to have anybody build. If you're going to happen to be at a show, you want to reach out to me and talk to me about contributing, please do. I'd be happy to share. Or you want to build a version for yourself, I have instructions for it. I'm all about that. I obviously have no problem borrowing ideas from people, and because I took tons of them, and I'd be happy to help out too. And I already have it. I've had people reaching out and shared ideas with people, and seen some stuff come of it. So it's crazy how going back again to the Brolug guys, how that creation nearly 10 years ago has sort of just like continued to reverberate and keep alive. And I'm happy our contribution is helping to keep it alive.
Yeah. For sure, and you've mentioned a lot about the lights, which are such an incredible part of the layout. So what tips do you have, maybe things you learned about incorporating lights? Because I know a lot of people are interested in doing that, but obviously you've got wires and there's a lot of kind of logistics things you've got to keep in mind. So what are some of the things you learned while working on this?
So yeah, I would urge anybody to learn anything, just go online, go on YouTube and search soldering LEDs or working with LEDs. Buy a kit on Amazon that's an LED light kit. Literally just search that LED light kit and get started. And after a few days, you'll realize that working with lights really is not that hard. And once you get the hang of it, it's super easy and it's so rewarding. I think we talked about it last time that some of the things that really elevate a build is motion and is light, right? So we're working on motion, but light, it just it's very simple. Once you get a hang, just don't be afraid. Just go to the resources online. Again, you reach out to me. I will be happy to give anyone tips on incorporating lights. It's really easy. It's also really inexpensive to buy the lights too. The expense is in the experimentation, I think, kind of. But super approachable. Get on YouTube and look it up. after you subscribed and liked the video.
Oh, of course. So
Why haven't you already?
should have done that at the very beginning.
On the building, that's subscribe to Beyond the Brick. We'll cyberpunk it up. That'll be next time.
We'll buy some ad space on your building.
Ad space after 3 interviews. Yeah, that's how it works. So you're still one behind. So get to work.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So then, what are the plans for the future? Will we see more of this at Brick Fair in the future?
Yeah, we did. So I don't want to reveal too much.
Okay,
but
of course, you can't spill the secrets.
We're looking to incorporate some motion into it. I think there's like a train or monorail planned. Where I don't know if the base is going to get any bigger, but I think we are planning to raise the levels and maybe add some more cubes where there's some blank spaces where they can be incorporated. So we are not done, not by a long shot. So there'll definitely be opportunity for you to earn that ad space for a third interview, right? Then you'll get an ad on the billboard.
I love it. No, I'm so excited to see what you continue to do. This layout here has grown so much since 2020. It looks incredible. There's so much to take in. So thank you for all the effort that you put in and your collaborators. So just we appreciate it so much.
I appreciate being interviewed by you guys, and thanks for taking the time. And for real, thanks for all you guys do for the community too, because you really share some cool stuff. I'm a subscriber. I love watching the videos and getting inspiration. So thanks to you guys.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.